Riverside is a multi-stage drive where it uses 4 cascaded gain stages, with each stage adding additional gain and harmonic complexity. What we've done is chosen to use both analog and digital gain stages to allow Riverside to optimally react to dynamics and feel and response, as well as to have the flexibility that would be very difficult to achieve in a purely analog solution. The first gain stage in Riverside is a Class A JFET analog gain stage, which has variable gain up to 20 dB. And that gain is controlled digitally to allow it to integrate seamlessly with the DSP gain stages. Having a JFET input as the first stage really optimizes the dynamic response and feel of the pedal as it interacts with your guitar. For the DSP gain stages, we looked at analog and tube gain stages and their associated circuitry, had a variety of different gain settings and studied their interactions and dynamic and harmonic responses. And with that information, we developed our own custom DSP gain stage. I'm using my trusty Agile through Fender Princeton with bass and treble knobs at 4.5. The volume's a little over 3. And here's my clean sound. Now we'll engage Riverside. So with minimum drive and levels at 12 o'clock, it's a very flat response. Let's dial in some low, medium gain sounds, which is something that Riverside does really well. So that's a very neutral tone, just really a slight amount of gain there. And we'll just bring the drive up a hair to push that a little further. You can hear with harder strumming that it is getting a nice drive to it, but with single line notes, it's really just fattening it up in a subtle way. So that's really nice to really keep the character of your amp and just give it a little bit of a push there. All right, and we'll just push the drive a little bit further here. We'll still keep it so with lighter pick attacks, we'll keep a clean sound. Now, as you turn the drive up, what we do behind the scenes is something we call variable circuit tuning. In our listening tests and investigations, tuning a circuit at various levels of drive is something that's really a continuous process, and it's why it's difficult to have a drive circuit that will actually sound good from clean to heavy drive in a continuous kind of way. But with the power and flexibility provided by having some gain stages in the DSP domain, we have the ability to make adjustments to the interstage circuitry and conditioning to allow a wide sweet spot of ranges at all gain levels. Turning up the gain further, we'll add some more harmonics and fatten up the signal accordingly. We switch over to the bridge pickup, drive that a little harder. So let's turn the drive up to maximum here. So this is on the what we call the low gain setting, which have a bit of a looser feel to it, a bit of a more vintagey, kind of a dimed vintage amp sound. We can switch to our high gain range, which will tighten things up and kind of brings it into a little bit of a heavier and more perhaps modern style of distortion. So with the drive at minimum in the high gain setting, it's still a clean tone here. as we bring that up. So we're starting to get into some gainier sounds earlier here in the high gain channel. Bring that up some more. Switch over to our bridge pickup. Bring it up further. In addition to being able to switch between low and high gain settings, we also have a push switch that allows you to push the mid frequencies before the distortion effect. So this will fatten up lower gain sounds, or kick the drive into extra gain territory. So let's dial back the drive a bit here and then see the effect of the push switch. Now we'll engage the mid push. So it fattens up the sound. It really gives a broad mid-range push to the gain there. Let's see what that sounds like in the low gain channel. That's with the push in the normal setting. Now we'll go to the mid setting. Really fattens it up, gets very responsive, kind of invites you to dig in a bit. Let's increase the drive further there. So everything we've heard so far has just kept the tone controls at 12 o'clock. So there's quite a bit of opportunity to sculpt the sound with the bass, middle, and treble knobs, which is a 3-band independent EQ that we've really voiced to work well in front of amps in ways that kind of can quickly let you dial in the sound, the particular sound you're looking for. Now the mid control is maybe the most powerful of the three. I would say as a general starting point, if the bass and treble are at 12, you're probably in pretty good shape. And the mid control really can change the character of the sound. At maximum, it fills up quite a lot of space in the middle of the frequency there. Now at minimum, we'll scoop that mid out. And the mid control is also a bit of several things going on at once. The center frequency and the width of the mid filter varies as you change the knob in order to really provide the most usable range of mid frequency sculpting. And the treble knob as well allows you to really darken up the tone there. Get quite bright at the extremes here. So now we're back in the high gain channel with the mid push, and we've got a fair amount of gain going on here, and we'll see what the effect of the middle knob can be on the tone here. we can benefit from the response and extra gain of the mid push without having that mid EQ quality be so much a part of the sound by just using the middle EQ knob to dial that back. So there we've got the gain and the touch sensitivity and the response without having that mid quality, being too dominant in the actual overall sound. Now the bass control we've also dialed in so that in the high gain mode, when you're in mid push, the bass control is a bit of a resonant response, and that helps kind of kick the low end of your speaker cabinet in a way that allows a nice kind of tight response that's got a bit of a kind of give and take feel to it. So let's turn the bass control up as we experiment in some of these higher gain sounds. And now if we want to really kind of find some of the extremes of the tone sculpting, we can roll the middle back all the way, bring the treble up and the bass up, and get a very kind of modern type of gain sound here. And we'll bring the level back a bit. Now to bring that to the opposite end of the spectrum, we can get a drastically different sound by bringing the mids up and bringing the treble back. We'll keep the bass around 12 o'clock. This will give us a very fat kind of lead sound, sustaining. By bringing the treble back, it'll be very smooth. We have a 3-position presence switch on the back of Riverside above the input and output jacks. And that tailors the high-end frequency response of Riverside, and it really allows it to pair up nicely with any particular amp that you might have. We've been listening to it in the presence minus position, so we'll get a bass line for that again, and then switch to the middle position, which is an enhanced presence, and hear the difference there. Now in the middle position here, you can hear a increased response, a little bit of the high-end extension, which can be nice if you're looking for that sound. There's also a 3rd position presence plus, which is very useful if you're going directly into a power amp. You can use Riverside with its 3-band EQ. It's essentially your driving preamp, and in those instances, the presence plus position will really provide the detailed high end that you'd want going directly into a power amp. I've got a Sur Strat here and a JC40. This provides a very different combination in that the tones generally are very clean and bright in this combination, and we'll see how Riverside can work with those sounds and expand the ranges. Here's the bypass sound. We can bring the drive up a little bit and add a little bit of just a little bit of dynamics and color to the amp that you wouldn't normally be able to get on this amplifier. So there's just a little bit of dirt on the signal. We go back to the dry sound. Now, an amp like this that is very bright and known for its extended response in both the lows and highs, we can make use of the EQ on Riverside to complement that by experimenting with the mid control, let's say. Bring the level back to compensate. bypass sound. So it changes the character, kind of fattens it up. Let's also try that by using the mid-push setting, which will push the Riverside into a little bit more drive, but doing so in a way that will complement the sounds coming from the amp. Go back to bypass. So now we're getting, moderate levels of drive that are really fattened up. Now we'll increase the drive and bring the mid back up. Let's go to our bridge pickup.